Sometimes the victory is delayed because the most important teachings of the message have not yet been manifested by this generation, such as the fulfillment of rights and justice on earth, zuhud in this world, and concentrating wholeheartedly on the hereafter. Sometimes victory is delayed until the Ummah exercises and tries to apply all its energies, using all its strength in order to know for sure that victory is entirely from the presence of Allah. Sometimes the victory is delayed until the essence of falsehood in all its forms is revealed, so that there are no falsehood perpetrators or falsehood fighters left among this Ummah after its defeat. These are the most important reasons for delaying victory for this Ummah. But all praise belongs to Allah, for no quick and easy partial victory will come to the Muslims. That which is achieved quickly and easily is also easily lost and wasted. Rather, the delay in victory at this stage, despite the many sacrifices made, is good news for the Ummah. What they look forward to in the future is not a fantasy or partial victory, but a strong victory, which can suit the eyes of all Muslims on earth. The author's observations about the period we are currently living in and its relationship to the good news of victory and power. I have already included in what I have described the character of the period we are currently living in. But I will add some observations based on a study of the reality and combined with a Quranic study of the Sunnah of Rabbani, the results of which are as follows. First observation. From the spiritual side, the failure of the perpetrators of falsehood, who have never been able to prepare humanity, is when the two most important religions, Judaism and Christianity, alone have failed to satisfy the spiritual side of their adherents. In fact, the spiritual side is the main part of human character. To neglect it is to lose the signposts of humanity. The result is an emptiness of the soul and a great thirst that nothing can alleviate except the message of truth that is directly related to the means from the heavens. And this message is found nowhere except in Islam. I would add here that the business in the West is not limited to spiritual failure, but goes on to exploitation, and the actors are the religious and clergy. There, Jewish religionists are as eager to exploit other communities as they are to claim other peoples. Therefore, we find them the most exploited people by drowning them in the mud of corruption and evil. They become practitioners of usury, banking, connoisseurs of nighttime cafes, avid patrons of gambling arenas, members of clubs that serve naked women, and so on. They are infected with the West, sinking into the mire of immorality, debasement, drug abuse, and other vices. This is well known and is the reality of what is happening there. Christianity in most parts of the West has followed this Jewish path. Church ordinances have made light of various vices, made it easier for sexual immorality to take place, condoned its effects, and set rules that allow this abominable act to be committed in society. The religious jargon is, "I have not sinned," meaning do whatever you want in this world and there is no sin on you, because the Messiah Jesus has taken away all your sins. This is the state of the two main religions there, which in turn leads to an emptiness of the soul, and what happens to the majority of the population who are afflicted with feelings of despair, confusion, sadness, and futility will lead them to a great thirst for any touch of truth. This is a fertile field for the Muslims to plant their teachings there. Hence, the West is beginning to sense the danger. Why? Because Islam in their countries has begun to infiltrate dazed souls. This is the main reason for the current war. War built on the basis of international treason. Hence, the Westerners have invented a new title for this treason, the War on Terrorism, the aim of which is to undermine the tremendous power of Islam in their countries. This war, of course, is not limited to extreme and fundamentalist groups from their perspective among Muslims here or there, but its main objective is to weaken Islam from intervening in Western societies. It is because of this that we find that this war, in its many forms, has disrupted the teachings of Islam, distanced the teachings of Islam from its adherents, and narrowed the scope of Muslims' movements and activities, including even peaceful activities. The enemies of Islam also try to confuse the image of the followers of Islam and spread the false news to their society. then send it to the Eastern world with the aim of changing the teachings of Islam, either by force or peaceful means, or by treason in the cradle, through a wide-scale information war against the teachings of Islam in a structured and systematic way, and through the spread of imported ideas to mix with the teachings of Islam. Human rights, Western civilization, secularism, democracy, women's freedom, and fulfillment of their rights, absolute freedom, and permissiveness. With this began an open war with the message of Islam in all corners of the world. In my opinion, the West has been deceived by the war that they themselves are waging in a piecemeal manner, but they do not feel it. They are practicing conspiracy with all media and means, committing the greatest treason ever. Verily, they have committed a great treason, but with Allah is their treason. Indeed, their treachery is so great that the mountains would vanish for it. Ibrahim, 46. They donate abundant wealth to realize their goals and to deter people from the path of Allah. Nothing they donate is except to prepare the disbelievers of Islam for their temptation. Indeed, those who disbelieve spend their wealth to hinder people from the way of Allah. They will spend it, then it will be a misfortune for them, and they will be defeated. Into hellfire shall those who disbelieve be gathered. An Anphil 36. They with great vigor carried out treachery, hard work, deceit, and attacked with harsh attacks. They enter the core of the battle against the message of Islam and its adherents, whereas this enemy of theirs is guaranteed and protected by the protection of the heavens. This structured attack on the message of Islam brings the good news with Allah's permission of an imminent victory for the truth and its warriors. For a good end is certain for all the battles fought by the Muslims. No battle is like holding burning coals for a short time. So be patient. Surely a good end is for those who fear. Hud, 49. We must always face the din of Allah, the Almighty, to correct the only true din. This is the divine promise. Allah has stipulated, I and my messengers shall prevail. Verily, Allah is the mighty and the powerful. Ujadala, 21. Second observation. Observers of the Western world will find that all the meanings of destruction have been realized there. A destruction that leads the perpetrators to the deep abyss of Jahim in this world before entering the real Jahim hell in the hereafter. Sexual perversion, prostitution, gambling, crime, broken homes, rampant ignorance, strong desires, and disbelief are prevalent there. Anyone who follows the development of Western societies with the language of numbers and census results will undoubtedly be astonished when it is conveyed to him how great the meaninglessness of all human life there is. Then he will come to the conclusion that all Western communities are definitely heading towards destruction, quickly, with an astonishing speed, according to the speed of increase of all deviant behavior. These nations are perishing daily due to the rampant corruption in their midst, so that every individual there lives in fear, whether of murder, theft, rape, alcohol or drug addiction, or dangerous infectious diseases such as AIDS, gonorrhea, herpes, or others. There is also anxiety, spiritual emptiness, psychological depression, mental fractures, and other psychological illnesses. This situation is not far from the Rabbani from Allah punishment that is well deserved for these nations, because all the components of corruption have been realized in their midst, especially now that it has been completed by their open declaration of war against the message of truth throughout the earth. A declaration of detachment from all the meanings of goodness that pervade their society, without exception justice and equality. This is done by the adoption of a new constitution that limits the meaning of goodness to a few things. All of this perfected the causes of destruction among them. This is the internal state of the enemies of Allah. One who takes a good look at them should be able to see that they are deceived, but they do not know it. They run towards the abyss without realizing it. They throw themselves into the fire while they are ignorant of it. They are ignorant. They scorn others, and they rejoice in their prosperity. I don't know what to say about the joy or misery of these servants of Allah, or the sadness of what has befallen the Western world in the form of degeneration. decadence, and alienation from all meaning of humanity. How grievous are the nations whose minds are totally erased, and their humanity completely lost. The death knell has been struck, while they do not feel it, do not understand it, and do not realize that the sound of the bell is a sign of the end of the night and the imminent arrival of dawn, which is the time of their destruction and perdition. For surely the hour of their punishment is at dawn, and is not the dawn near? Hud. 81. Third observation. The Islamic world is living in a period of sifting, filtering, and separating between the champions of truth and the supporters of falsehood within it. This period also contains a process of purification, and sacrifice that resembles the sacrifices of the first generation, as additional ammunition to stem the increasingly violent waves that prevented people from confronting Islam and its teachings because of the devastating war of the enemy that attacked it. It also gives the good news of freedom and salvation. Conclusion: these factors, some of which affect others, are merely signs that warn of the imminence of the purification process. There is an essential Islamic consciousness that is moving towards perfection in the shadow of the failure of the Western world at the level of values, morals, and teachings. There are also the enemies of the din of Allah, who are always spreading corruption among the people and incarnating in their midst all the factors of destruction. According to the confessions of their intellectuals and philosophers, there is the unconsciousness of the perpetrators of falsehood in the face of the message of truth on earth, due to deceit, arrogance, negligence, and self-confidence. There is also a state of despair among the warriors of truth. They say, from which direction will victory be realized, from the bowels of the earth, or from its inhabitants? There were also sporadic victories among the battles between truth and falsehood, on which day rejoice those who believe, for Allah's help. He helps whom He wills, and He is the mighty, the merciful. 5-6. As for those around them, from among the other nations, they are in a state. Those who disbelieve are continually afflicted with calamities because of their own deeds, or the calamities occur near their dwellings. Until Allah's promise comes, verily, Allah does not break a promise. Ar-Ra'd 31. D. The winning group, and the persistence of its struggle. Saban radiyallahu anhu reported that the Messenger of Allah, may Allah's peace and blessings be upon him, said, "There will always be a group of my ummah that will prevail over the truth, and those who abandon them will not be able to harm them until Allah's decree comes, and they are still in that state." Muslim, al-Imara. In another narration from Muawiyah radiyallahu anhu, there will always be from among my people a group that stands up to the command of Allah. Those who neglect them are unable to harm them, as well as those who deviate from them, until the command of Allah comes to them, while they are in a state of victory over others. Sahih al-Bukhari. Explanation: these hadiths clearly indicate that there will be a group of righteous warriors who will stand on the din of Allah until His command comes. Scholars differed on the meaning of Allah's command, amrullah here.